my name is John Wilson. I'm with Big John's Oil Lube, and I'm going to talk to you today about the importance of changing out spark plugs. Most manufacturers on Autolite and a couple others, with NGK and stuff like that, they say, hey, 80 to 90,000 miles. Um, it just depends on what kind of fuel you're burning. That really actually determines whether or not you need your spark plugs changed sooner or later. So we're working on a 1973 Jeep that has this is not the correct engine for it, but it's got a 305 or a 304, excuse me, it's a 304 in it, and it's pretty built, and it's running a Demon carburetor. Demon carburetors tend to dump a lot of fuel into the engine. In fact, this might be too much carburetor for the actual engine itself. So what we want to do is we want to check. We're going to take out a spark plug just to kind of check to see what kind of shape the spark plug is in. And that's the most important thing. Is you see a lot of black carbon on it, a lot of buildup. Chances are you are dumping too much fuel in there. So it means you're not getting a clean, efficient burn, which kind of determines, along with a lot of other things, whether or not we need to rejet the carburetor or just change the carburetor out. And of course, this is on an older car. Fuel injection is just a little different. It's set by the manufacturer, to burn to air ratio according to the injector. Here we're working on a little bit of a performance still. So here we're, taking it out, and hopefully it comes out. These are usually elongated spark plugs, and you also want to think about using the right spark plug for the right engine, and make sure that it is dexed into the cylinder itself. A lot of times guys think hotter is better. It's not. You actually just want to have it indexed correctly so that the spark is going down into the cylinder. What I mean by indexed, it means that when you tighten this spark plug up, the majority of the spark plug edge is going to be pointing downward, so you get the most fuel efficient burn, and that's where the electrode needs to be. And that's how you get the most horsepower and stuff like that out of your cars. Most of the cars are indexed correct. When you start messing around with different heats and stuff like that, they may not be indexed correct. So, and I'll show you here in just a minute how this comes out. So, as you can see, these are fairly, really good spark plugs, but look how black that is. That's high carbon. That, you can see the fuel sitting on there. What that usually tells us is that this vehicle is running way too rich for the type of for the type of use this vehicle is, which is mainly off-road. It really needs to be a lot leaner. And though you go up into the higher elevations and stuff like that, as you climb mountains and things, you still have to keep in mind the spark and the ignition and the fuel ratio correct. So actually, because this thing is so black, that's telling me that this carburetor, which is a Demon carburetor, which is really set up for really high performance, is the wrong carburetor, for one. And number two, it's running way too rich for the engine. So he's dumping a lot of fuel down there, which means that he's wasting a lot of fuel. Which, when you're out there 4x4ing and you're using that much fuel and you're dumping that much fuel, not only are you putting contaminants into the air, but you're putting contaminants out your tailpipe. So we want to make this thing more efficiently and run a lot better. So we're going to change the heat range of the spark plugs, but we're also going to match that with changing the jetting of the Demon carburetor. And that's a process all in itself. But as you can see, he's running regular unleaded fuel. And so that's how important it is to actually every aspect of the vehicle. This is one of the aspects that we look for. This tells us what the carburetor's doing. It tells us what the fuel-air mixture is doing, and things like that. So when you go into the automotive repair shop, you want to make sure that when they say they're going to do a total inspection on the car, that they can actually do a total inspection. And when they say they're going to do a tune-up, that they're actually looking at the spark plug itself. A lot of times you'll see a brownish type of black there, that's the kind of good burn that you really want. You don't really want this thing to be that black. So one of the aspects of changing out your spark plugs is that you're keeping the efficiency of the electrode that's in this going. And not only that, it also tells you what's going on in your vehicle. If you see a lot of oil around the base and stuff, it usually means that sometimes you might have a head leak. Sometimes it means that you have a valve cover leak and oil is seeping down around. So this really, the spark plug itself will tell you exactly what the heads are doing. And the heads are the combustion chamber where everything works. So this is this spark plug may even be gapped wrong for the actual engine itself. It should be gapped probably somewhere around 0.32 to 0.40. That's probably the optimum of what it means. So so when you're getting your spark plugs changed, it's up to the mechanic to make sure that the car is sparked right, that the gap is right, and that the car is running very, at its optimum performance by making sure that it's not too black, you don't want it too light, and if you got a lot of buildup on it, white, it means it's running too hot. It means that somebody stuck in the wrong spark plugs. And so this one, in this case here, it's not running hot enough. That, and because there's unburnt fuel here, when we first poured it out, it was really wet. So that tells me that this carburetor is running way too rich. The reason why it's so important to change that spark plug is because you got winter coming on. Colder weather means that it'll go into a cold start mode, which actually, if your spark plugs are not running efficiently, giving out enough spark, it means that you're wasting fuel. Along with that, when the cold air is coming into the intake, not only does the cold air actually compress more, but if you're not getting a clean spark, you're getting too much air-fuel ratio to the spark for it to be efficient. So the importance of changing out your spark plugs to making sure that your ratio is correct, making sure your spark plug is at the right heat range is very important, especially in the winter time. Because as you all know, cold air compresses, hot air expands. A lot of mechanics aren't willing to tell you this or explain it to you, but I feel that, a lot of times there's a backyard mechanic somewhere that needs this kind of information, so I'm trying to put it out there to let them know that, along with just the average person, that spark plugs, even though they say they're rated for 90,000 miles, as an ex-electrician, I can tell you that the electrodes in these, time and time again with the heat and everything else will tend to wear out and you'll start to lose that fuel efficiency. So you want to make sure that when you go to your mechanic shop, whether it's here at Big John's Oil and Lube, Auto Repair, or if it's somewhere else, that they actually take your spark plug out and they check it for the coloration to make sure that you're getting the complete burn and your air fuel ratio mixture is doing what it should be doing. And that will tell you a lot about what's going on. I'm John Wilson with BigJohnsAutoRepair.com. Give us a ring, send us an email. We'll try to answer your questions that you might have any way we can. Thank you.